you ever felt frustrated, overwhelmed, or stuck wasting time in admin instead of growing, leveraging, and scaling your business? Then this podcast is for you. Welcome to Delegate to Elevate, the podcast that's all about handing off what you don't need to do so you can focus on what you do best. So here's your host, Bonnie Schutz.
Hey, everybody. It's Bonnie, your host of Delegate to Elevate, Get Done. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. And here's what it is. How about this situation when they drop the ball and you lose the client? Yeah. So, it is one of those that hits close to the gut. We're talking about what happens when you, the founder, the CEO, the solopreneur, who finally took a deep breath and let go of a few things, lose a client because someone on your team dropped ball. Yeah, that sting, that brain spiral you're in, that why did I ever delegate this in the first place? Voice in your head. You are not alone. So let's talk about it. Let's get into the messy middle. And more importantly, let's figure out how to get out of it. Back into your groove and back into winning. You know, the brain spiral is real. Here's what no one warned you about in leadership. Okay. You can do everything right. Everything. Training, onboarding, giving those clear, concise expectations. But one moment of silence, one drop task, one side comment from a subcontractor, and poof, the client you worked your ass off to earn is out, and there is nothing you can do to make them stay. And if you're like me, you don't lose. Or let's put it this way, you don't like to lose. But you also don't just lose revenue. You don't like to lose in general. You don't like to lose sleep. You start rehearsing everything you should have been seen coming. Like you're on some kind of sad Netflix rerun. You know, that inner monologue, like, you know, was I too trusting? Did I give them too much rope? Should I have done it myself? But here's what's really happening, scientifically speaking. Your brain is reacting to social pain. And I don't do this often, but I actually looked this up. Studies from UCLA show that being rejected or losing a client activates the same brain regions as physical pain, literal ouch. And if that loss came from someone else's mistake, your brain goes into massive overdrive, trying to make sense of the betrayal, the broken trust, the guilt. It is cortisol city, my friends. It's messy, but guess what? It's normal. And also, you don't have to stay there. So how about you pause before you pivot or pause before you react? Now, I'm not here to toss glittery affirmations at you, but I'm here to hand you tools. First up, before you rush into automatic fix-it mode, pause. Give your nervous system time to land. Try this with me real quick. And this is so out of my norm, but I love it. Inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4. And then exhale for 6. Do that a few times. Get oxygen back into your logical brain. You're not in danger, even when it feels like it. You're in a learning moment. One thing I've started doing after a loss is something I read about called cognitive diffusion, a tool from ACT therapy, ACT therapy, which stands for acceptance and commitment therapy. The idea is this: you are not your thoughts. Think about that. Think about your thoughts. That's weird. Okay. You are not your thoughts. You can watch them without being them. God, that is so profound when I think about that. So if your brain says, I suck at hiring, or I'll never trust a fucking subcontractor again, you say instead, thanks, brain. Noted. Heard, chef. We're going to keep on moving anyway. I say that to myself a lot, actually. Like, thanks, brain. Cute try. Let's try to process these losses without assigning all the blame. Let's be honest. When someone on our team causes a client to walk, it feels like betrayal, doesn't it? Especially if that client was one of your favorites and you knew nothing was coming, or a big one, or one you fought like hell to earn. And you might feel the urge to throw the VA, the consultant, whomever, straight under the bus. But hang on, you're the CEO. And leaders don't throw people. We lead people, even when they mess up. Ooh, that one is so profound to me when I think about it. I had to let it sink in when I was prepping for today's show. Whew. You can tell this is pretty fresh for me. Take a moment to separate the facts from your feelings. So what actually happened? What part did your system or onboarding process miss? What lesson does this leave with you? Not all client losses are preventable. It's just a thing. Some were never yours to keep, but many are powerful teachers. And when I say some were never yours to keep, it's like that old saying, something about people and relationships. If you love someone, set them free. If they come back to you, they're yours. If they're not, if they don't, they never were. Gold. It works in this situation. Some were never yours to keep, but they were powerful teachers. Yes. You can trust again, but get this, you can trust, but be smarter. Trust smarter. Here's the part where we rebuild. Because yes, you can confidently delegate again, but smarter, more structured, with boundaries and feedback loops that protect both you and your clients. A few tools I can share that help me are: 1, check-in points. It seems so basic, but it's important. Don't wait for something to explode. Weekly reviews, minimally, are your friend. Okay. Check visibility. Give clients insight into who's doing what and where to escalate. That might be something that gets left out. You may mention it once in a kickoff call or something like that, or an engagement call, whatever you call it. And then you assign somebody else on your team to do a lot of the work, or a subcontractor to jump in for you. But the client doesn't know what to do if something happens in that relationship, who to elevate it to. So make sure that's understandable. And provide psychological safety. Create a culture where your team can raise red flags before the client has to. And let's not forget, delegation isn't just about getting things off your plate. It's about scaling your impact, even when it's imperfect, even when it stings like a bee, and even when it doesn't go as planned and smacks you in the face. All right. So here's the reframe. From defeat to data. Here's the real kicker. Every failure is data. Mark me. That's a little phrase I heard in a Netflix show. Raise a hand up in the comments if you know what show I'm referring to. Okay, where was I? The real kicker is every failure is data. That client you lost, that contract that ended, that lesson you didn't want to learn but had to anyway, it's not the end of your business. It's not even a sign that you're bad at this. It's feedback for your systems, for your team selection, important one, and for your own boundaries. Whew. And when you let yourself mine the mess for wisdom, you come out 1, sharper, 2, stronger, and 3, with more self-trust. And trust me, I've had to remind myself of this more times than I care to admit. I'm right there with you. So here's my final encouragement to you for the day. You can rise from this. You will work with great team members again. And yes, your next best client may be right around the corner, but this time you'll be ready with clearer systems, more grounded delegation, and a little scar tissue that now knows what to look out for. You've got this, my friend. And hey, if no one's told you lately, you're doing a good job holding the line. Thanks for being here with me today on Delegate to Elevate. Get done. If this episode hit home for you, punched you in the gut, and made you remember something that's happened to you recently or a little while back, send it to a fellow founder who might be spiraling too. Let's keep each other up in the game. Until next time, keep delegating, keep elevating, and keep going. You are strong.
So that's it for today's episode of Delegate to Elevate. Head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen and subscribe to the show. One lucky listener every single week that posts a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes will win a chance in the grand prize drawing to win a $15,000 private VIP day with Bonnie herself. Be sure to head on over to delegate2elevatepodcast.com. That's with the number 2. And pick up a free copy of Bonnie's gift and join us on the next episode.